Now at 11.
August is National Immunization Awareness Month. An advocacy group, Every Child by Two, is launching an online tool to help parents keep track of when kids need to be immunized. Joining us now to explain is Executive Director Amy Pisani. Amy, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm so grateful.
So this online tool, it's two-pronged. The first one is, it's kind of like a widget. Can you explain that for us?
Widgets are so odd. Well, basically, because it's Immunization Awareness Month, we were thinking about how we can help parents track vaccines, because we're lucky because we can protect our children now from so many diseases. It's up to 15 by the age of 6, but it's hard to track them. It's hard to keep an eye on them because as parents, we have so many things to do.
Especially if you have more than one child.
Yes,
how are you supposed to remember each one?
Right, and luckily the providers, the doctors have registries and they can follow them on the registries, but we don't have access to them because of privacy.
Okay.
So we thought, all right, we'll make a tool, and so it's very simple. You go onto our website, vaccinateyyourbaby.org, and you can enter in your child's name, first name only, or you can make up a name.
Okay.
And then you actually put in their birth date, and it will send you an immediate schedule that will show you the date, the months when they should be vaccinated. And then you can opt to also receive email reminders. So about a month before they're due, we'll also send you a reminder and say, okay, Karen is due for her immunization, so make sure that she goes and gets a doctor's appointment, or Antonio needs his visit in 2 months, so you need to make sure to send him in.
And you're a mom as well. You have 2 kids, right?
Antonio
so
and
I'm
Nicholas,
sure, and how cute, Antonio and Nicholas? I'm sure this is helpful. And coming from a mom, you know about all this and how this is really beneficial.
Yeah, it is. It's very difficult to know what's next, what's the next visit. When you know that you go in for your well child visits, but after the first, you'll see, when you have your baby, I'm so happy for you. After the first year, you don't go every month, every 2 months anymore. And so it's even more difficult as they get a little bit older to know, okay, when is my next visit due?
Now, the whole idea of getting your child vaccinated, sometimes it can be overwhelming. I know that with some vaccines, such as whooping cough, you need to get a series of shots, and it can be a problem. So how do you make sure that you can just jot down all of those? Can you put that into the system as well, so that way it reminds you, okay, this is number 1 of the series, number 2, something like that?
Well, this system is very basic. It really just gives you the general idea of when they need it, because we want you really to rely on your provider.
Okay.
And they have a registry, and that will track the actual vaccines that are given. And so we really do want you to rely on your provider, but this is just sort of a little reminder just to make your life easier. And I'm so glad you mentioned whooping cough, because we're in the midst of a massive outbreak of whooping cough. But frankly, the country is always in cough outbreak. We think there may be up to 1 million cases a year that aren't even reported. And so we're trying very hard to get the message out that all mothers who are before they get pregnant or immediately postpartum need their whooping cough booster, and all husbands and all grandparents and potential caregivers of babies. So I think this is a great opportunity to kind of get that message out, that we're trying to make your lives a little bit easier. Your children aren't protected until they're completely done with their vaccine, and some of them need 2-4 doses. And so until that time, we have to really rely on one another to protect infants.
What about vaccine safety? That's always a question that parents have, and I'm soon to become a parent, and that is a question I have as well. I mean, how do you talk to parents about this? Obviously, there's an open dialogue, because some parents may have a lot of questions.
Sure, I had a lot of questions. A lot of the information about safety came out when my first son was due, and I was concerned, but fortunately they've done so many studies now. There's been up to over 14 studies nationwide on the safety of vaccines, and it's been declared absolutely that they are safe and effective. Our Vaccinate Your Baby site was developed actually just for that reason. We have Every Child by Two has its own website, but we started that whole new campaign, vaccinateyyourbaby.org, to answer parents' tough questions. It even has great little videos where you can go in and say, well, what's in a vaccine and why is it there? Is it safe? And you'll see a series of doctors answering what's in a vaccine, why it's there, and when you need them.
So it breaks it all down for you. There's also a bookmark before we go. So a bookmark for kids, how does that work?
Well, we wanted to make something a little friendly for the parents, especially when my children are little vaccine advocates, but it's hard to get your kid in for a vaccine when they get a little older. So we thought, well, we'll create a coloring book and a bookmark, and you can give it to your kids maybe right after they get their shot, and say, it's a good thing that you came in here, and this is what it's going to protect you from.
So it'll explain it for them, of course, in kid terms.
In kid
why
terms.
they're going and getting that painful shot sometimes.
And
Yeah.
give them a little reward, because it's nice to reward them. It's not a fun thing to do. No one likes to get a shot. So.
You're right, even adults. Thank you so much,
You're very
Amy. I appreciate
welcome.
it. And you can learn more about Every Child by Two at our site, nbcconnecticut.com. Just search links.